Mike's on. Hey, sorry for taking so long. I'm just listening to a podcast at the moment. I'll turn it on.
Audience. And I think that's what GXK was able to do as well. It was able to appeal to kids and a wider audience. GXK, it does a really good job of being like GXK worked backwards from where like Sonic movie is. Sonic movie started out with like kids as the primary audience, but found a way to branch upwards to adults. GXK started with like we're in a series where adults are the primary audience, and they found a way to extend the olive branch to kids, and then actually made that like focused on that olive branch. Um, but I think those movies are like really, really solid kids and family movies. I really stand by those films under that context, and I don't understand why people hate to hear that GXK was made primarily for kids. It doesn't mean you're childish for liking the movie. That's not what it means at all. The movie does a really good job appealing to older people. Why can't we acknowledge that the movie was made for the audience it was made for, while still acknowledging that it did a good job appealing to people older than that? Although I will say, I've never met an adult in the real world who didn't have enormous issues with GXK and feel they went way too far with it. I've never talked to a single adult in the real world who felt that GXK was on the level of the previous MonsterVerse films. Every single person I've talked to who is older than 21 felt that it was a step down from the previous movies, and really, pretty much everybody I've ever spoken to loved Godzilla vs. Kong, which I think is a really important distinction. Like, I think Godzilla vs. Kong hit that mark of appealing to everybody better than GXK did. Godzilla King of Kaiju, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Are you on Team Kong 76 animatronic or Team Cybot Godzilla 1984 animatronic? Ooh. The Kong 76 animatronic failed horribly, but it was the most ambitious animatronic like ever attempted. A 45-foot animatronic fully prepared to walk around a full movie set filled with tons of extras during an enormous chase escape sequence. Such a huge swing. The Godzilla one, what is it, like 15 to 25 feet, somewhere in that range, like half the size. Also, it's only like the top half of Godzilla. Still an incredibly impressive animatronic. It doesn't have the ambition, but it does work way better. It looks better. It looks way more like the Godzilla. Blends better with the suit to the animatronic. The Kong one barely makes it into the movie, only for a few seconds. It barely connects from one shot to the next. Like, doesn't look like Kong 76 very much at all. It doesn't mesh, but it's really impressive what they went for. Godzilla's worked. The Cybot Godzilla looks a little weird. You can always tell when they cut to it, but you can tell whenever they cut to the, what are they called, like Guggenolls? Is that what they're called? That's like the hand puppet Godzillas. You can always tell when they cut to those in the Showa series. They work really well for what they're going for, you know, especially giving Godzilla extra mobility. And the same deal with the Cybot Godzilla. Like, when they cut to it, you can see it doesn't mesh 100% with the suit, but it looks way better with the suit than with the Kong one. And I think the Cybot Godzilla overall is a much solid. It just worked better. It's a very impressive animatronic. It looks great, still looks great, worked how they wanted it to. That's got to be the one, man. I'm on Team Cybot Godzilla. I am right. Wasn't it only the top half of Godzilla, or does it have his legs? Is he able to walk? I don't feel like he was. Maybe I'm thinking of the Shin Godzilla one, which was only the top half. Shin Godzilla's was only the top half of the body, but it was a really impressive animatronic. The Shin Godzilla one's the coolest one in my opinion. The Kong animatronic's chances of winning it's like a dice roll. D-Man, do you roll the dice? Not often. Are you on Team -1 or Team Legendary Godzilla? Nuclear Goji edits? What? Are you talking about in a versus match? Am I on the Team Godzilla that's 4 times the size and can eat -1? I think versus battles are silly. Unless you're asking me which Cybot I think could win in a fight. And then I'll engage. I've seen a picture of Cybot Godzilla where it's a full body one, but I'm not sure if it could walk around. Okay, maybe I'm getting my wires crossed with Shin Godzillas, but I do remember the Cybot Godzilla. Let me pull up a picture.
Excuse me.
I feel like, why do I remember it being only the top half of his body? Oh, I don't have pictures of him saved. Godzilla 1984 Cybot. Animatronic. I don't think he could walk. Oh, it is a full body. It is a full body, but I don't think he could. Oh, but they cut him in half. That's why. Because they cut him in half. He could come in two. So sometimes he could be just the top half moving around. But he's actually not as tall as I remember. He looks great, though. And his face is so creepy. Especially now when it's all rotted away. It looks great. That one's it's a great animatronic. They should have restored it and put it back in action. Yeah, me too. I love whenever Godzilla's lip raises in that movie when he's roaring. It's such an awesome detail. Do you watch kaiju channels like Goji Guy? I don't. The only kaiju channels I watch are Donnie Winter. I've started to watch a ton, especially since I was invited to be on Growing Up with Godzilla. Donnie Winter's channel is great. My buddy Monstrosities doesn't post anymore, so I don't watch him. Kaiju Noir I still try and watch whenever I can, especially older videos of Kaiju Noir. I tried to watch some Super DM64 the other day, only to find that that channel got nuked and is no longer on the internet. That was pretty depressing to find out.
Apple Mint?
And then Kaiju Canuck. Kaiju Canuck's the Godzilla YouTuber I watch the most of. Just a fantastic channel. I love to hear him talk. Incredibly insightful, incredibly smart. Also has a really strong niche that I am not really a part of, being really deep in the collector space. Just a really incredible speaker and knowledgeable speaker on that topic. I love hearing Kaiju Canuck talk. What is your favorite Godzilla design? At the moment, -1. I think -1's a perfect Godzilla design at the moment. If -1 gets a sequel, what do you hope they'll do with the new design, if they do give him a new design? I do think that they will give Godzilla an updated design in a Godzilla -1 sequel, if that is what they're making. Which
let me check for.
I do think that they will give Godzilla a new design. I don't know what I would want, to be honest. I would want something different, just because, from a story perspective, if Godzilla regenerates different after he gets his cheek blown off, he's gonna have to look different after he regenerates from scraps. So I think Godzilla should look different. How different? I don't know. I really like there's this artist who I'll show off in an upcoming news and updates who does this Godzilla Infinity series, like it's a fan film he's working on, and the redesign of Godzilla, the redesign of Godzilla -1 by that artist is so freaking perfect. I really like it. -1 I like more than that redesign, but I think they need to change the design because I think Godzilla should regenerate differently.
Thank God.
Have you seen other franchises, or are you a kaiju conservative? I used to be way more. I used to explore the fan base, or the genre, the subgenre, way more. I'd be watching Gamera all the time, Yongari, Reptilicus, a ton of American giant monster movies, all of these movies in and related to the genre, all of these Harryhausen monster films. I'm not very adventurous with my fandom anymore because I just simply don't have a lot of time. Being a YouTuber is incredibly time consuming, and I don't get the time to explore the way I used to, which is something I talk about in Growing Up with Godzilla. Again, you should really go check out Growing Up with Godzilla over on Donnie Winter's channel. I've got that. It's on the community tab right now, so check it out there. I've linked.
I
it.
need
It's just,
chai now.
Yeah,
Chai tea.
Yeah, I'm a big Ben 10 fan. I'm a huge Ben
I
10
had it
fan.
before,
I love
but
Ben 10 and I watch Ben 10 all the time.
I fucking drank it.
I've been 10
I'm
on
pretty
it
sure
all
a
in the
goblin gave it to
background
me
when I'm
too.
going to sleep.
The gobby, I think I got it from a
Just
gobby
like my
pool,
go-to going to sleep.
and there's none.
His body will probably look the same. Maybe he'll have different spines. Orca Boss, I'm kind of along those lines as well. Yeah, I'm kind of along those
Let me
lines
look at
as
something
well.
on FFpedia real fast.
Watch Gamer Rebirth if you're if you're not a fake Godzilla anime fan. I would love to.
Chai. How much you? I don't think any NPCs.
Maybe I should make like a... I'm trying to do a new thing with the channel. Like, I broke down things much more analytically, so moving forward, I'm gonna go with kind of a crazy strategy.
Oh, there's a
for
merchant
this
that sells
channel
it good.
moving forward to see if I can come up
Just go to
with
K12 and Ottergan.
a much more healthy, productive upload schedule for my channel. Because, like, boy, I know I'm not the only one who experienced this. I've talked about this in a video not too long ago. I talked about this in a video like in December or November, somewhere in there. I think it was December I talked about this. Omni viewers talked about this. Up from the Depths just spoke about this, that it's really, really hard to get content out there and to get it seen these days. YouTube has shifted from being about subscribers. It's no longer really subscriber based. It's way, way more based on the YouTube algorithm, and the YouTube algorithm is not designed in a way to promote your subscriptions to you. If you're subscribed to me, the odds of you getting sent my videos, promoted my videos, it's actually very low. It's almost as low as if you're not subscribed to me. If you watch every single upload I watch, you are going to see my videos pop up. If you don't watch every upload I post, you're not going to see them as often, which is maybe something I should
K12?
look into posting
That is
less.
south of there.
But yeah, like posting videos, it goes to the algorithm, not the subscribers. Like, being a sub matters less to YouTube these days than ever before. So I need to try something that's much more healthy for channel growth, because guff, I just don't get work as much as I would like to. So I need this to be a much more healthy job. But maybe I'll do something on the Patreon where I can set like Patreon goals, where it's like, if we hit this goal, I can review Gamma Rebirth, that kind of deal. Because that would at least let me explore the genre again. I'd love to do that. Hey D-Man, what if in -1 Godzilla splits into 2 parts while regenerating, and that's how we get a Godzilla versus Godzilla fight? You know, that's an interesting idea. I like the idea that it comes more of a direct action from the humans. I like the idea that there's more consequences to our actions as human beings. Godzilla splitting in 2, I don't think that says anything thematically. You know, like Godzilla's defeat at the end of Godzilla -1, it was very fitting for that film thematically, and I think to say there's consequences for doing the right thing and looking out for your fellow man, to have Godzilla split in 2 and come back as 2 different monsters and be worse than ever, it puts a level of consequence to the actions on the characters from the first film that it makes their actions in return, it hurts them. It weakens the themes of the first movie. That's why I think if Godzilla is going to come back, he needs to come back on his own terms. He needs to have a different reason to be there. I think that if there's another monster, it has to be the consequences of humanity. YouTube has become way too corporate now. It's frustrating that smaller content creators or upcoming content creators have no chance of getting views. The Orca Boss, YouTube is trying to promote smaller channels, like people with 0 subscribers. That's one of the goals they're working on, is getting people with 0 subscribers and audience. It just makes it so that if your channel's not growing exponentially, YouTube views it as this channel's dead. And so mid-range channels like mine, which grow slowly, die. They die and they flatline. If you had a solid audience, like I used to have an audience of 30,000 viewers every single upload. 30,000 viewers every upload. That audience, they're still out there in this world. They just don't get my videos as often because my channel's not growing as fast, which means YouTube thinks, oh, he posts but no one watches, so don't promote it. Which again, at some point, if I can find work outside of YouTube, if I can keep getting stable film work, which is a big dream that is not coming true at the moment, then I will be uploading less, but uploading content that hopefully gets viewed more. Because I used to upload like what, every 2 or 3 days back in 2019, and again, 30,000 viewers a video. Now I upload every single day, and I'm like cracking.
I have all the items, I think. Yeah. I have to head over to.
YouTube, though, is the most mainstream outlet in the world. I cannot deny that. It's insane how people get away making AI slop and getting money for it on YouTube. Again, it's just that those videos take off. They get quick eyes on them, and because they get quick eyes on them, they look like they're skyrocketing, which means YouTube promotes it even more, which exponentially skyrockets them. So their videos get even more and more and more sent out there. It's, I think, easier to grow a channel from scratch at the moment, at the current landscape of YouTube. I think it's easier to grow a channel like from scratch than it is for a channel like mine to reactivate and grow again. Die and Flatline. Chat, we need to be supporting Godzilla human hybrids now. Sprouting? Not supporting? You need to be sprouting them? Godzilla King of Kaiju, why are you wanting to grow Godzilla human hybrids? We gotta talk, man. Something's wrong with you. I think we need a platform instead of YouTube as a fresh start with better moderation. Wow. Why did that struggle so much? I don't think there will ever be a platform that comes around that's better than YouTube that replaces it. YouTube's just too OG. Maybe someday, but I don't see that in the near future. But that also means AI YouTube channels will get better audience, while creators who put so much work into their videos will fall behind. Yes, and you can see that all the time, every day happening. Maybe plan ahead on making a top quality video in case you'll be out. In case you'll be out, coach. What? Do you think Godzilla should be humanized more in MonsterVerse? Nightcrawler, I've got a huge video that just came out a couple days ago about what I would do to fix Godzilla in the MonsterVerse, and that's not one of the solutions I have. I think there are lots of other things to work on with Godzilla than over-humanizing him. It's expensive how Hiya Toys makes these figures expensive, or a bit.
What the heck is...
Huh?
Orowiki?
Yeah, I get recommended smaller channels all the time. I really do hope your channel picks up steam again, Demon. Thank you so much, Winter. I'm hopeful.
I can't see the goddamn thing.
Taking a big.
Well.
I'm gonna try something different
it
here. I'm gonna really try and like play the game more algorithmically in this next couple of weeks to see if playing the game more algorithmically pays off better. Why would YouTube want to promote a channel that's having exponential growth? Shouldn't it be the other way? TRX, because YouTube wants to keep eyes on the platform, right? So if you want eyes on the platform and you're just starting out making content and people start to watch your videos, that's telling YouTube there is an interest in looking at what this person's got going on. So the more people look at it and the more people go to your channel to see what's up, the more YouTube says, oh, people are really interested in this. And so it's like this exponential effect where the more interested people seem, the more YouTube pushes it out. At some point, if YouTube starts pushing out that content creators' videos and people don't click, or they scroll away, or they look away, or whatever, it is going to be detrimental to the channel, because now the channel is putting out content that's getting ignored, which is telling YouTube there is no longer an audience here, stop pushing out the content, which is what happened to me and is happening to me right now. So again, I'm going to try and see what happens if I start to make little tweaks to this channel to be smarter algorithmically. Do you have any tips for growing a channel? I'm working my way to having my channel be a form of revenue to help promote my art. Yeah, Kaiju, these are my tips. I think, so first of all, I think content creation needs to come from passion, not a drive for money. Passion. You have to have passion for the material. You have to have passion for your topics. If you have passion, that's the number one thing. If you're passionate about it, you can share that and people will see that and respond to it. If you're not passionate about it, there's no point in watching you. Second of all, I think you know, you need to focus on like, is the content that you're releasing at a level of, at a standard of quality that you would consider.
Did I buy tea?
I watch YouTubers who are not overly edited. Like, I think there are some YouTubers in the Godzilla community who are much popular than me. Much more popular. That's not the type of content I watch. I don't watch the over-edited stuff. It's too much.
Or did I get that distracted?
It's just not for me. I really like the slower pace. I like the time spent with the content creator. I like that. You know, I like I said, my favorite content creators in the community being Kaiju, Kaiju Noir, Kaiju Canuck,
so silly.
Donnie Winter.
I didn't buy the
Zazbar, like some of the older ones, but like content.
I got distracted by
slower pace.
YouTube.
And to.
My bad.
I like when you get to spend time with the content creator, get to know them. I also like
I gotta go to
the
K-12
slower pace where you're not being bombarded.
Go
I like to
man.
be bombarded with information. Outside of the Godzilla community, the YouTubers I watch are very similar. Like the editing style is more intense. They're more video essayists, but I watch a lot of commentary YouTubers. You know, like Pinely, like Danny Gonzalez, like Dragooden, Curtis Connor, Gabby Bell, Chad. That's mostly the type of stuff I watch. I also watch, what's his name, Cinema Tyler, Matt Drapier, Nando V Movies, The Weekly Planet, and Captain Midnight. Like those, that's probably my top 10 most watched YouTubers. Actually, my top 10 most watched YouTubers is not anybody in the Godzilla community. And all of them have very similar, like, they're very similar in that they focus on a lot of the things I like to look at, which is like film criticism and analysis, or just in the commentary YouTubers case, like criticism and analysis and deeper dives and deeper discussions and slower pace. But I guess to speed up the topic here, because I'm dragging on, advice for content creators. I think content creators, it's important that you're passionate about the topic, that you release videos at a level of quality that you would watch. I would watch all the videos that I release. It's a level of quality that I'm happy to watch and engage with. Oh, also Critical, Penguin Z0, obviously is like my #1 most watched YouTuber. And his videos are like the slowest edited on the entire platform. So those are the kinds of things I watch. You know, like also trying to look at like what's doing well for other channels. And I don't think you should be like, well, this video is doing well on this channel, so I need to make a video like that. Instead, you should be like, what is their release strategy? You know, like how do they do their thumbnails and their titles, and what works for them, and how can I take inspiration from that? I really don't think you should be taking inspiration from the like type of content, and like, oh, they made this video about, you know, Kong's, you know, like what? There's been some wild ones, like some of the content creators that are much bigger than me make some videos about some real obscure topics, like how much would Godzilla drink in a day? I couldn't care less about that, and I don't think you should look at that and be like, well, that video did well, I should make videos about how much Godzilla can drink in a day. Make the videos that you're passionate about, but you can take inspiration from, like, this video did well, how much should Godzilla drink in a day? And you can look at that and be like, okay, what are the lessons to learn from how they released that video? You know, another content creator I like is Up From The Depths. He just doesn't post a lot. Thank you so much, Sin. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I love to do those deep dives. Those are my faves. Well, yeah, and like Dead Me, it's kind of hard to name all the YouTubers I watch because the number of YouTubers I watch has really grown over the years. Like, I watch Beyond the Trailer because I like to hear about the box office week to week, and I don't always like to read Variety. And I watch tons of Dead Meat. Dead Meat's like my fave. But yeah, the number of channels I watch.
Hold on one second, I'm just trying to figure out something.
Like this is the core issue I'm speaking to. YouTube has started to push so much channels at me rather than content from the channels I'm subscribed to that it's impossible to keep up with all of them. I love I love Dave McRae, one of my favorite YouTubers, who I haven't seen one of his videos in my recommendeds now that I'm speaking out loud in weeks. I haven't seen Dave McRae video in weeks, and it's not because I haven't been interested in watching Dave McRae. It's because now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't gotten one of his videos in my feed because I've gotten so many other videos from new channels I've never seen before, which is nice because it maybe puts eyes on those videos and grows that channel, but also it makes my subscriptions fall behind. Like the people that I'm actually opening YouTube to watch, I don't get to see those people as often. I'm glad to hear we're on the same page about Curtis and Danny. I like when your videos are more serious, and then I can have them playing while I'm working or while I'm drawing. I like to do more serious deep dives as well. News videos are great. I enjoy news videos. My videos have always been made to be videos that you either can watch but also could just have on in the background. It's always been my intention, is that you could just listen to my videos like podcasts, but I'm glad to hear that. Also glad to see the Charlie love. For feedback, I watch you, OmniViewer, Goji Center, Atomic Fan. I've actually never heard of Atomic Fan, and Mr. H. Videos where it feels like you're having a normal convo with the creator are very interesting. I also love deep dives. Well, I hope you've been liking my recent videos then, when I've been like clipping some of these live streams to create discussion videos out of it. I've actually loved doing that format, and it makes me want to stream more often. Like I'm going to do that with this video as well. I'll never forget King Godiro. I'll never forget. Yeah, so much brain rot. I'm luckily I'm getting off YouTube Shorts because gosh, that was just destroying my attention span. Genuinely, really detrimental to my overall mental health. I've never been on TikTok. I'm off Instagram for the most part, which I'm now being told by a brand that I was going to be working with that I need to start posting on Instagram again. So I'll try and post on Instagram again. And yeah, man, it sucks. How do I make the algorithm recommend me to D-Man? Dude, if I knew, I could get my videos seen again. If I knew how to get my videos in the algorithm, I could share it with you. Your vids are very rewatchable too. Well, thank you very much, Noob Master. I feel like that's not entirely true. I feel like a lot of my videos are news videos, which are not very rewatchable. Although I will say, and maybe this is like self-obsessed, I went back and watched a ton of my videos from 2018, and they were all news videos, and I was having a great time relearning about the ad campaign that was King of the Monsters through my videos. I just had a great time looking at those old videos again. Just like his videos, when you watch them, I get him in my algorithm, no problem. Oh, just like his videos when you watch them. Yeah, honestly, this is a so yes, if you want to know how to get my videos, which if you're watching this live stream, you probably don't have this issue. If you are here right now, you probably don't have this issue. But if you want to see my videos, these are the things you can do. Comment on my videos and like my videos when you watch them. Those two things. Also subscribe if you're not. And I know you're not, so you should. Although I know you are. Yeah, I wasn't talking to you. You're not. So you need to. You're like the one guy who isn't here. If you watch my videos consistently, if you comment on them, anytime you click a video, you don't even have to watch all of them. If when you click on a video, you comment on it and you like the video, those two things are going to ensure you will see my videos moving forward. Those are the two things that are going to make sure you keep seeing them. It's the only way to like beat the algorithm. Yeah, Kaiju Scaler, I'm not a fan of the people who make videos covering GXK leaks, especially the ones that have like 500,000 subscribers, cover GXK leaks, and then make videos claiming that they don't ever cover leaks and like denounce people who cover leaks, trying to play the like role of, hey, we would never cover leaks. Look at us, Jared Krishavetsky. We're so awesome that we don't cover leaks. And then they still have a video on their channel where they leaked that Mothra was in the new Empire, but they called it a rumor, so it was okay. That really upsets me. I really don't appreciate when people leak information on movies, because it's like, hey, and I know I used to be young and immature and I used to leak stuff, but once you're past the age of like 14 and you can recognize that there is incredibly hardworking creatives out there who are trying their best to make movies for you to enjoy, whether you enjoy them or not, they're trying their best. You know, I think it's, you're either ignorant or you're a bad person when it comes to that. And I think in some cases, people are straight up. I think they know that they're being naughty, and they're being naughty anyways. And gosh darn, it ticks me off, man. Oh, yeah, the key to success is making a video 8 to 9 years ago about the possible face on Shin Godzilla's tail. I swear, if that video's actually that old, that's going to destroy me, so I will never look it up to find out, and I don't want anybody to tell me. I do not want to know how old that video is. Do you ever covered the Godzilla Day, Godzilla Store pop-up event that happened last year? I wanted to reach out about it in case you hadn't. The Godzilla Day, Godzilla Store pop-up. Kaiju not? I did not. I don't know where that was. Maybe I did. I might have, but I don't know where the Godzilla Store pop-up was, so maybe I didn't, but maybe I did. All right, I'm going to jump down to the bottom of the chat. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and see what you guys are currently talking about. If you want to get your comment seen again and you've already commented it, you should just re-comment it. Let's all just view
What's
bomb
up,
and
everybody?
spam
Demon
comments
back.
on all
Welcome
of
to it.
D-Man's videos. Honestly, I won't say that wouldn't be nice. Especially the piano videos, which are the worst algorithmically, but I have no plans on stopping. Those mean a lot to me. So I will be out there to post videos on piano covers, and those videos don't get much support, but if you want to go and support those videos, leave likes and comments, even if the comment just says D-Force. On every single video you watch of mine, if you just comment D-Force, you don't have to say anything else but D-Force. If 53 of you watching this video comment D-Force on all the videos that I post, it honestly will do a tremendous amount for the channel, because that's just the way the algorithm works. I don't know why. I didn't design it. That's just how it works. Hey D-Man, clarifying how the humor in King of the Monsters is about the levity and not the tone. I feel like the dialogue compromised the tone of the movie. That's entirely fine. If we all can look at it differently. You know, if you look at Godzilla King of the Monsters and they make a joke that just doesn't land with you and you do feel like it compromises the tone of the movie, that's totally fine. There are some movies where there's one joke that I feel like undercuts the severity of the moment, and it's that fortune cookie joke with Serizawa. It's such a beautiful and sincere
I have no idea what
that
this
I
is.
think the writers
I could look,
felt
but I was
like
looking at something else.
people are gonna make fun of us for having a moment
Oh,
this
shit.
sincere in
What
this
now?
video or in this movie, and I think they threw that fortune cookie joke in there because they were worried that people would be unreceptive to something that honest and human. Mid-monster movie with a giant butterfly. Moth. Oh god, I'm sorry. I think that's why they did it, and that's a moment where I would say it does undercut the tone of that scene, but I don't think it compromises the tone of the whole. I think that movie tonally is still right where you want a Godzilla movie to be. It's perfectly able to be fun and adventurous and silly while still being serious and heartfelt. If you make a piano cover of Hanama's theme from Hanama's verse to the 7 Ultraman, I'll comment on it 100 times. Childish? Childish? I'm gonna write down whatever the heck you just said. And the day will come. Dude, I just got a DM from somebody I haven't heard from in a long time. Someone very exciting. I'm gonna have to check that in a minute. That got me very hyped. That's pretty cool. Y'all ever put a finger on Blue Oyster Stan, I guess, don't we all from time to time? Or at least we hopefully should. BT Dub, what's your favorite Godzilla movie? My favorite Godzilla movie at the moment is Godzilla Minus One. I love your piano covers. I think you play rather well, and I've always said that Godzilla films should have been made more appreciative. Should have been, I think, paid more or made more appreciative for their incredible scores. I agree. They definitely.
Oops.
The scores over the course of the whole franchise is so beautiful. So many incredible pieces of music written throughout this franchise. So many incredible composers, whether it's Ifukube or not. I completely agree. Hot take, people overreact to the gonorrhea joke. I could not agree more. When you've got the actors who play King Ghidorah fine with it, when you've got tons of people from Toho fine with it, oh. Why'd my webpage cut out? Am I still streaming? Did my internet just die? Huh? Says I'm still streaming. That was weird. Why did that happen? Why did that cut out? Anyways. Yeah, when like everybody involved with the movie was fine with it, when everybody involved with like the IP was fine with it, I don't know why fans got so offended about that joke. It was just a silly little throwaway joke. Yeah, I see that I'm still streaming, but for a second there it said that I wasn't. I don't know why. It popped up and it said that stream cut out. Winter, where do you send me DMs? I don't think I've ever seen any DMs from you. I hope it wasn't a ghost, Acno. It better not have been. How's it going, Acno? Thank you so much for all of your support. Just joined late, so sorry if discuss your thoughts on Godzilla Battle Line. You play? Landshark, I do play Godzilla Battle Line, but, and this is embarrassing to admit, I'm trying to save money, so I haven't played Battle Line since the new season dropped, because I know the next time I open it, I'm gonna buy the season pass, and I'm gonna buy the Battle Pass support, and I have not played since the new season dropped, and I'm nervous to open it back up, because I spend money on that game, and I don't have tons of money to spend, so I'm trying to be cautious with my money. Don't know if you know the store Anime Jungle, but they collaborated with Toho to do a pop-up. Oh, really? A pop-up shop in Tokyo, LA. In Tokyo, LA? What is Tokyo, LA? Little Tokyo. Oh, Little Tokyo. I happen to have worked that event. That is awesome. I would love to work at a place like that. Unfortunately, I don't live close enough. I've actually never been to Little Tokyo. If you're live streaming on your phone, is there a way to see the comments? Yeah, I'd imagine. I've never live streamed on my phone. King of the Monsters was Warner Bros. Overreacting to Godzilla 2014 being too serious and not shoving Godzilla on screen every 5 seconds. New Age waifu, Godzilla's not on screen for so much of King of the Monsters. In regards to the gonorrhea joke, I'm more disrespected that one of them. Dude, why can't I ever read? I'm more disappointed that one of the mispronunciations wasn't the old American. I'm gonna assume you're saying Ghidra pronunciation. I'm pretty sure even the novelization used it at one point. That's true. I feel like straight up any other Ghidorah mispronunciation that people make in the real world would have been funnier than the stupid gonorrhea joke. I just didn't have that big of an issue with it. I haven't played a Battle Line match in months, but I keep logging on for the rewards. Fair enough, man. I freaking love Battle Line. Need to look for a job near me. No, me too, brother. about Admirant Stenz? I like Admiral Stenz. I think he's a cool character. I now know how DC fans felt. Oh, that's how you feel about the Monsterverse, huh? Oh, I know you don't like the Monsterverse. It's alright. We all like our own things. What monsters do you think will appear in the new Toho Godzilla film? Given their track record, probably someone like Ghidorah. What I'm hoping for is someone like Anguirus, although there's a lot of backing for Hedorah at the moment, so I think that could be very, very possible. D-Man, you should do an updated statue and figure video. It looks like you have more on display. Well, Ban, in my Growing Up with Godzilla episode over on Donnie Winter's channel, we do talk about a lot of the Godzilla collection I have behind me. I do show off a lot of my faves from the... I show off my favorite stuff from the background of this collection. But maybe when we hit 100, maybe when we hit 100K, maybe I can do it. I can do an updated. Yes, I thought Ghidorah would also be the final big bad of the Monsterverse. I was surprised that they wasted him, like, and by wasted I mean like killed him, wasted him, like killed him so quick. Surprised he didn't stick around. Oh, Godzilla King of Kaiju. I think that the female characters in the anime trilogy were not handled very well, and it's because they were all the female characters, you talk about the male gaze, all the female characters in the anime trilogy are written through the lens of, like, their relationship to Haruo. Like, they don't have a ton of worth outside of their relationship to Haruo, whether it be at odds with him or whether it be in love with him. And it just so happens that all three of the main female characters in that trilogy wind up in love with him at one point or another. I think having a much stronger separation between character and relationship is very important, and I feel like with female characters it's a big issue with films. A lot of the time female characters only exist in the context of their relationship to the man, and those anime movies are no different. Oh, that's why I liked when Yuko stood up for herself at the end of City on the Edge of Battle and wanted something completely different than Haruo. Kind of off topic, but if a sequel to Pacific Rim was ever made, do you think merging it with the Monsterverse would work, or would it have been a failure? You know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I do know there was a big desire to merge the two universes, and that desire is not as old as you might think. It started after I think around in the 2017 era, leading into Pacific Rim Uprising. I think even if that movie had been a smash hit, I don't think they would have merged universes. But I don't know. I don't think that idea is completely off the table. I think it's a huge mistake, personally.
I can't believe I didn't buy it. Or did I? I did not.
I don't want to see any more Monsterverse, and I don't want to see any more Pacific Rim after that point. Just end it and reboot. But, you know, especially because, like, audiences have not responded terribly well to the multiverse over at Marvel. They didn't respond to it well at all at DC. So I don't want to see Godzilla destroyed by a multiverse as well. I did not. I think I talked about the Prime 1 Studios statue a long time ago. I talked about the teaser, like, I guess actually recently, a couple videos ago. But there was a teaser a long time ago for this new Prime 1 Studio. My internet cut out again? What's up with that? What the frick, man? I did hear that, there was a big Spiral Studios, or a Prime 1 Studios figure that was revealed. Yeah, I could see them building mechs in the Monsterverse as well. Jaegers and mechs in the Monsterverse to try and bridge that gap, but for two different universes to build the same technology under different circumstances, just yuck. Bad storytelling. I think I am gonna end stream here because it is getting late and I want to go to sleep because I got a lot of work to do tomorrow and I got a lot of stuff going on. So I think I'm gonna end it here, but thank you guys all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'll let you guys catch up and see if there's any final questions, and then I'll end it. How would you rate each Pacific Rim movie and show if you did watch Pacific Rim The Black? I only watched season 1, but the first movie's the best, and then The Black, honestly. In GXK, do you think we could possibly see Mothra and Shimo have a dynamic? In the third one, maybe, if they decide to bring those characters back. I would expect Shimo to be back, but I don't think Shimo's gonna have a ton to do. I don't know if Mothra would come back. Good night, D-Man. Take care. Hope things get better for you. Thank you so much. Sleep easy, man. See you whenever fate reunites us again. Noob Master. Hopefully not long. I am excited for GXK 3. Nah, I don't get much sleep, but I'm gonna try. Alright guys, well, thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Especially big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It means everything. It's the best way to support this channel, the most direct way to support this channel. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below. Through that, you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's not your thing, please consider joining the channel as a channel member. It gets you exclusive perks. And that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time for the next one.
Later. Usually I don't do the chat and stream like that, but it was alright. I enjoyed watching them. I've seen his videos before. I hate Street Fighter, but I love Terry Bogard. I'm gonna think about something.
Turned, he found Kawasaki dead. Sakine threatened him, even asking about his children's well-being to intimidate him into helping. Yamazaki, fearing for his life, agreed to help dispose of the body. He let the couple use his bathroom to dismember Kawasaki's corpse, then helped transport and dispose of the remains. A few months later, Yakuza member Yasutoshi Endo, who had previously helped Sakine with customer disputes, grew suspicious of Kawasaki's disappearance. Endo and his driver, Susumu Wakui, started asking questions and pressuring Sakine. This made them targets. On July 21, 1993, Sakine and Kazama invited them over, saying they would give them property documents as payment. Instead, they tricked them into taking the same poisoned capsule that had killed Kawasaki. Endo died quickly, but Wakui remained conscious for a while. Sakine panicked and lured him outside, pretending to call an ambulance. The poison eventually took effect, and Wakuai died. Their bodies were also dismembered and burned. One more victim was yet to come. On August 26, 1993, Sakine targeted Chizuko Sakiguchi, the mother of a former employee. He convinced her to invest in the shop, then poisoned her too.
I'm on the right
This
one,
time, Sakine acted alone. In January 1994, police arrested a suspect in Osaka for a similar dog-related murder case. This reignited media interest in the Saitama case.
Ah.
Reporters flooded Africa Kennel, putting Sakine and Kazama under intense scrutiny. They denied everything. Meanwhile, Yamazaki was struggling with guilt. He made excuses to police but then suddenly disappeared with his wife. Authorities later found out that his wife had committed fraud, embezzling $384,000. Eventually, on December 3, 1994, Yamazaki confessed to everything and agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. Thanks to his testimony, investigators were able to locate the victims' remains, leading to Sakine and Kazama's arrest on January 5, 1995. However, there were rumors of other victims. At least 3 people connected to Sakine had vanished in 1984, and police received multiple tips about suspicious deaths. During the trial, Sakine and Kazama turned on each other, each blaming the other as the mastermind. But the judge ruled that they had acted together. Both were sentenced to death. They appealed multiple times, but their sentences were upheld, with the final ruling on June 5, 2009. Meanwhile, Yamazaki, who had been forced into helping, received a 3-year prison sentence. He was released in August 1998. Sakine never admitted to his crimes. He remained fascinated by his ability to dispose of bodies. He had destroyed evidence in grotesque ways, cutting the corpses into small pieces, feeding them to fish, and burning everything else. He even bragged about his perfect crimes. However, karma eventually caught up with him. His health declined in prison, and he died on March 27, 2017. Kazama remains in prison at the Tokyo Detention House. Recently, this case resurfaced after a Buddhist monk shared a chilling experience with Sakine. As a university student, the monk, Miki, had visited Africa Kennel with friends. Sakine had offered him an easy job, walking dogs for a high salary. Miki was tempted but ultimately refused. Each time he visited, Sakine offered him a can of coffee, which he drank twice. On his 3rd visit, he declined. Years later, after Sakine's arrest, Miki learned that the suspect had been offering poisoned drinks to his victims. It was then that he realized how close he had come to death. Hiroshi had a disturbing condition known as paraphilic psychosexual disorder. In simple terms, he could only feel pleasure through acts that most people would consider deeply abnormal. For him, that meant strangling people, not just lightly, but to the point of death. His life quickly spiraled downward. He dropped out of university, then got fired from jobs. But instead of stopping, he kept going. Mo eventually turned to the internet, where he found a suicide club, an online space where people struggling with suicidal thoughts gathered to talk. He used this as a hunting ground, pretending to be a kindred spirit looking for a peaceful group suicide. In reality, he had no intention of letting anyone take their own life. Instead, he lured 3 people, a 14-year-old boy, a 25-year-old woman, and a 21-year-old man, by promising a painless death together using carbon monoxide in a car. But once they met up, he turned on them, strangling each of them to death after only a short conversation. After his arrest, Mo openly admitted that killing gave him pleasure. He even blamed his urges on reading mystery novels as a child. Dubbed the Lust Murderer, he was sentenced to death. His execution was carried out in 2009. Takahiro Shiraishi seemed like just another quiet guy. Introverted, bouncing from job to job, never drawing much attention. But his loneliness ran deep. He eventually got involved in Tokyo's red light district, tangled up in shady business, and his reputation took a nosedive. Some people might try to rebuild their lives, but Shiraishi had other ideas. He turned to Twitter. And not just any part of Twitter, the darkest corners where people at their lowest searched for an escape. He posed as someone who understood them, someone who would help them log off from life peacefully. But he had his own twisted plan. His first victim believed he would help her end her suffering. Instead, he drugged, assaulted, and strangled her. Then, using instructions he found online, he dismembered her body. Later, when he ran into her boyfriend, he panicked, thinking he had been tracked. so he invited the boyfriend over and murdered him the same way.
Jesus.
Over 2 months, he lured in 7 more women, promising them peace but delivering horror. He drugged, assaulted, and killed them, stealing their money afterward. Police got involved when multiple women went missing. Investigators followed an online lead about a man contacting women and eventually traced it back to Shiraishi. When they searched his apartment, they found a nightmare: bones, organs, and the severed heads of all 9 victims, stored in coolers and preserved with cat litter. In 2017, Shiraishi was arrested, put on trial, and sentenced to death. He remains on death row, awaiting execution. Getting married and raising a family is a huge responsibility. Couples have to take on the roles of both parents and partners, setting a good example for their children. However, the man in today's story did the opposite. His actions showed that he had no morals and was willing to do anything to get what he wanted. This case is about a man who appeared to be a responsible father and husband, but was actually hiding a dark and ruthless nature. On November 3rd, 1994, in Yokohama, Japan, a mysterious white plastic bag was found floating in the harbor. It was large, heavy, and tied to a rock to weigh it down. Residents nearby reported the sighting, and the Japanese Coast Guard arrived. When they opened the bag, they made a horrifying discovery: the body of a woman. Over the next 8 days, divers found 2 more plastic bags in the same harbor. Inside, they found the remains of 2 small children, both under the age of 2. It was clear all 3 victims were connected, likely murdered by the same person. Investigators identified the first victim as 31-year-old Aiko, a resident of Tsukuba, a city north of Tokyo. The 2 children were her 2-year-old daughter and her infant son. The prime suspect was obvious: Aiko's husband, 29-year-old Dr. Iwao Nomoto. Just days before, Dr. Nomoto had filed a missing persons report for Aiko and their children. When he was called in for questioning, he appeared shocked by the news. However, detectives noticed something suspicious. He had fresh scratches and cuts on his wrist. When asked about them, he claimed a dog had scratched him. Investigators doubted his story but had no concrete proof that he was responsible. The triple murder shocked the nation. As the media covered the case, details about Aiko's personal life surfaced. Rumors spread that she had worked in nightlife and had expensive taste. Some began to paint her as a bad wife and mother. Then police found Aiko's diary, which revealed she had been trapped in a troubled marriage. The diary showed that the real problem was Dr. Nomoto's infidelity. He had cheated on Aiko repeatedly, giving him a strong motive to kill his wife and children. When confronted with this evidence, Dr. Nomoto denied everything. But soon, police found CCTV footage of his car near the harbor where the bodies were discovered. On November 25th, 3 weeks after the first body was found, he finally confessed. Iwao Nomoto grew up in Ibaraki Prefecture and excelled in school. He became a doctor and made his family proud. He met Aiko at a tennis club in 1990 when he was a 25-year-old intern and she was a 27-year-old nurse. At the time, he was already dating someone else, but quickly fell for Aiko. They moved in together, and Aiko soon became pregnant. Despite this, he continued seeing his previous girlfriend, only ending things when he was forced to marry Aiko due to the pregnancy. Even after getting a high-paying hospital job, Nomoto struggled financially. He had made risky investments, buying 3 properties in Kobe and Osaka,
Where am I going?
leading to massive debt.
Oh, I need it.
Aiko, determined to help, took on extra jobs, working as a nurse during the day and as a karaoke hostess at night. She made sacrifices to support their family, but then she discovered the real reason behind their money problems: her husband's affairs. Nomoto had been cheating on her with multiple nurses at his hospital. He even gave one mistress a key to his apartment, and he had bought properties as gifts for his lovers. When Aiko found out, she was devastated. She had worked so hard for nothing. Enraged, she demanded a divorce, asking for a $1 million settlement and $10,000 per month in child support. Nomoto begged her to stay, promising to change, and she gave him another chance. But he didn't stop. Even after their second child was born, he continued to have affairs. Aiko, not wanting to break up the family, made a shocking compromise. She allowed him to see other women as long as he stayed home at night, spent weekends with the family, and treated her with the same love as his mistresses. But even this wasn't enough for Nomoto.
Jeez.
Aiko's patience finally ran out, and she stopped helping him pay his debts. She started spending her
You couldn't
money
do that
only on her
much.
children and herself. On October 29th, after yet another argument over his cheating, Aiko grabbed a knife and wrapped a rope around her own neck, threatening to take her own life. She told Nomoto she would expose his affairs to everyone at his hospital. Fearing his career would be ruined, he panicked. Instead of calming her down, he grabbed the rope and pulled as hard as he could. Aiko tried to fight back, but he covered her nose and mouth until she stopped breathing. Then he turned to their children. He later claimed he didn't want them to grow up knowing their father was a killer, so he took their lives too. After killing his family, Nomoto went to work as if nothing had happened. That night, he stuffed their bodies into plastic bags, placed them in his car, and drove off. But before dumping them, he stopped at a strip club and a brothel, as if celebrating. Only after that did he drive to the harbor, weigh the bodies down with rocks, and throw them into the sea. The next day, he acted normal, even planning a trip to Hokkaido with a mistress. To cover his tracks, he filed a missing persons report for Aiko and the children, believing their bodies would never be found. But his plan failed when the bodies surfaced. During his trial, Nomoto claimed the murders were spontaneous. However, evidence suggested otherwise. A forensic report found a piece of undigested chocolate in his infant son's stomach. Since chocolate melts quickly in the stomach, this suggested the child had eaten it just an hour before his death. But Nomoto had claimed he killed his children right after Aiko, which didn't match the timeline. A friend of Aiko's also testified that she saw the baby eating chocolate at 7:30 p.m. on October 28th, the night before the murders. This raised doubts about Nomoto's version of events. Did he kill them at a different time? Had he planned the murders in advance? Ultimately, Dr. Iwao Nomoto was found guilty of the murders. Fusako Sano, a 9-year-old who disappeared mysteriously. One moment she was a regular kid enjoying a school game, and the next she was gone. Days turned into months, then years, and her disappearance became a haunting mystery. Shockingly, Fusako was held captive for 9 years by her kidnapper in his apartment.
Ew.
During this time, she was confined, isolated, and subjected to mistreatment. Sanjo, located in Niigata Prefecture, was a small and quiet town surrounded by mountains. Fusako grew up here with her loving parents enjoying a happy childhood. Given the town's size, no one expected a tragic event like this to happen. On November 13, 1990, Fusako watched a baseball game at school and was walking home alone when a man stopped his car beside her. He pulled out a 19-centimeter knife and threatened her, demanding she get in. Frightened and powerless, Fusako complied. She was never seen again for years. Her kidnapper was Nobuyuki Sato, born in July 1962. He was 28 at the time. Not much is known about his early life, but he was an only child with a distant relationship with his elderly father and a close bond with his overly indulgent mother. She spoiled him, which likely influenced his later behavior. He eventually placed his father in a care facility where he passed away. Nobuyuki worked in the automobile industry, but his exact role is unclear. He had impulsive behavior and an extreme obsession with cleanliness, possibly indicating OCD. A notable incident at work occurred when he got spider webs on himself, causing him to panic excessively, clean, and quit his job. He then lived with his mother, unemployed and financially dependent on her. Despite relying on her, he was abusive toward her, yelling and even using a stun gun on her multiple times.
The fuck?
Shockingly, his mother never reported him to the police,
Why not?
allowing his behavior to continue. There are reports she sought help from the health department, but no action was taken. A year before abducting Fusako, Nobuyuki had tried to kidnap another child, but was caught. He was only sentenced to 1 year in jail. This light punishment allowed him to continue his crimes. After kidnapping Fusako, he brought her to his house using the back door to avoid being seen. He locked her in his upstairs room, beginning her 9-year nightmare. Her parents reported her missing immediately, and police conducted extensive searches. They used ground and aerial searches and distributed missing posters. However, efforts faded, and by December, the search had nearly stopped. A conspiracy theory soon emerged suggesting North Korean agents had abducted her, as many such kidnappings had occurred in Japan. This false belief took attention away from the real case. In reality, she was only 55 kilometers away in Kashiwazaki, shockingly close to a police station. Despite many kidnapping cases ending in tragedy, Nobuyuki did not intend to kill Fusako. Reports state he never sexually assaulted her, claiming he saw her as family. However, his treatment was still horrific. She was never allowed to leave, not even for the bathroom, instead forced to
Did I
use
ever figure out
plastic
where the hell that
bags.
place was?
Bathing was rare only
can't
when
believe I already
decided
forgot.
it was necessary. He regularly abused her, physically assaulting her, and using a stun gun, especially when angry or if she forgot to record bush races for him.
Time to stun
Over
gun mother.
time, the stun gun attacks became so frequent that she grew used to the pain. Reports on her food intake vary. Some say she ate 3 meals a day, while others claim she only got 1. Either way, she was severely malnourished, weak, and suffered from poor health due to the lack of sunlight and proper nutrition. She had to wear his clothes, as he feared buying her new ones might raise suspicion. She never attempted to escape. Threatened, overpowered, and growing hopeless, she accepted her fate, holding on to the hope that her ordeal would end. With no access to TV and only a radio, her isolation was extreme. It seems unlikely that Nobuyuki's mother was unaware of her presence. There were strange noises. He spent all his time in his room, and he reacted aggressively when she tried to go upstairs. Police later found feminine products in the house, raising further suspicion. It remains unclear whether she knowingly helped or simply turned a blind eye. Nobuyuki's abusive behavior eventually led to his downfall. His mother had previously reached out for help, but was ignored. On January 12, 2000, she contacted the health department again. Officials visited on January 28th. Nobuyuki panicked when they arrived, as they insisted on checking the second floor. When they went upstairs, they found Fusako curled up in a blanket, frail and malnourished. At first, she hesitated to leave, asking if she could stay. But the officials reassured her that she was safe, and she finally left with them. Nobuyuki was hospitalized at first and treated as a mental health patient. But once police confirmed Fusako's identity, he was arrested in February. Meanwhile, Fusako was reunited with her parents. Though overjoyed, they had to readjust to having their daughter back after nearly a decade. Nobuyuki's trial moved quickly. His defense argued he was mentally unfit, but psychiatric evaluations ruled otherwise. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison on January 22, 2002. He appealed twice, with one appeal reducing his sentence by 3 years. However, the final ruling upheld the full term. He was released in 2015 and later died alone in his 50s. Fusako's experience left deep scars. While her physical health improved, her mental recovery took longer. Rescuers noted that at 19, she still had the mindset of a 9-year-old. She became timid but worked hard to adjust to normal life. Fortunately, she had a strong support system of family, friends, and neighbors. Now older Fusako has found peace working in the rice fields with her family and still enjoys sports, a passion she carried from childhood. Though the trauma remains, she has slowly reclaimed her life. This next case is both confusing and frustrating. Even after more than a decade, there are still more questions than answers. The police worked hard to solve it, but it felt like they were stuck in a never-ending puzzle with no way to reach the truth. This case has also caused tension between Japan and Korea, because many in Japan believe the suspect was Korean. This is the tragic and mysterious murder of the Miyazawa family, also known as the Setagaya.
Unfortunately, I've already heard
On the
about
morning
this.
of December 31st, 2000, an elderly woman named Haruko went to visit her daughter's family in the Setagaya neighborhood of Tokyo. She had been trying to call them all morning, but no one answered. She thought they might be busy getting ready for New Year's, so she decided to check on them herself. Since she lived nearby, it was easy for her to get there. Haruko arrived at the house around 10 a.m. and rang the doorbell. She heard it chime, but no one came to the door. She pressed it again, still nothing. Growing worried, she tried the door and found it unlocked. She stepped inside, calling out for her daughter and grandchildren, but there was only silence. Then she saw something no mother should ever have to see. Lying on the floor near the stairs was the lifeless body of her son-in-law, Mikio Miyazawa. As she walked further inside, she found the bodies of her daughter Yasuko Miyazawa and her two grandchildren, Nina and Rei. Shocked and horrified, Haruko ran outside, screaming for help. Neighbors quickly called the police. The Miyazawas were a happy and peaceful family of four. Mikio, 44, worked from home for a marketing company called Interbrand, where he helped businesses develop their brands. His wife, Yasuko, 41, was a respected teacher, well-liked by her students, colleagues, and parents. Their children were 6-year-old Rei and 8-year-old Nina. Rei had a speech delay and was receiving special treatment for it. Because of this, Yasuko was hesitant about moving, even though the family had planned to leave their neighborhood. When they first moved to Setagaya in 1991, the area was full of houses. But over time, the local government started buying the land to turn it into a park. By the year 2000, only 4 houses remained, including the Miyazawa family's home. When the police arrived, they found the house in complete disarray. The living room sofa looked like someone had slept on it. Papers were scattered everywhere, and in the bathroom, a drawer and its contents were dumped into the bathtub. There were food wrappers, ice cream cups, and bloody bandages in the trash. The toilet was used but not flushed. At first, police thought it was a robbery, but that idea was quickly ruled out. Strangely, nothing valuable was missing, except for Mikio's jacket and Yasuko's handbag. Oddly enough, the suspect left an entire outfit on the living room sofa. A black jacket from Uniqlo, gloves, a bucket hat, a long-sleeve shirt, a muffler, a fanny pack, and a pair of Slazenger sneakers. Some of these items smelled like Drakkar Noir, a popular men's cologne at the time. Investigators also found handkerchiefs, which they believed the killer used to wipe off the weapons. Based on the evidence, police were able to piece together what happened. The attacker climbed onto the second floor, removed the metal railing from the bathroom window, and entered the house. The first person he saw was Rei, who was sleeping in his room next to the bathroom. Without hesitation, the killer strangled the boy. Rei fought back, but he was too small to resist. Hearing noises upstairs, Mikio went to check. As he reached the top of the stairs, he was suddenly attacked with a sashimi knife. He was stabbed multiple times, including in the head, where a piece of the knife blade broke off inside his skull. The noise woke Yasuko and Nina, who were sleeping on the third floor. The killer then went upstairs and attacked them too. At some point, the knife he was using broke. He left briefly to grab another knife from the family's kitchen. During this moment, Yasuko, despite being badly injured, tried to escape with Nina. She carried her daughter down the stairs, hoping to find safety. But the killer hadn't left. Armed with the second knife, he resumed his attack. Both Yasuko and Nina suffered multiple stab wounds, mostly to their faces and heads. Yasuko had defensive wounds, showing that she fought back as hard as she could, but in the end, both she and Nina were killed. After murdering the family, the killer didn't leave right away. Instead, he stayed in the house for hours, possibly as long as 10 hours. He acted as if he had no fear of being caught. He ate ice cream and melon from the fridge, drank barley tea, and used Mikio's computer to browse the internet. He even attempted to buy theater tickets with Mikio's credit card, but failed because he didn't have the right details. Shockingly, he even took a nap on the living room sofa, just steps away from Mikio's body. By the time he left, he had left behind a mountain of evidence: fingerprints, DNA, footprints, clothing, and even his own waste in the toilet. It seemed like an open and shut case. But even with all this evidence, police couldn't find him. Frustration grew and theories spread. One of the most popular theories was that the murderer was Korean. The first reason was his shoes. The suspect's footprints showed he was wearing size 28 centimeter, about US size 10, Slazenger sneakers. Some reports claimed this size was only available in South Korea, not Japan. The bag he left behind was also said to be made in Korea. Later, this was proven false. Both the shoes and bag were also sold in Japan. But the rumor had already spread. The theory gained more attention in 2005 when police released DNA results. The killer's DNA showed that his father was of Asian descent, while his mother had European ancestry. The paternal DNA was found more often in Koreans than in Japanese people. In addition, sand found inside the suspect's bag came from an area outside Japan, though it was never confirmed exactly where. Because of these findings, investigators traveled to South Korea but found no matches in fingerprint databases. Police had a few leads that might have helped them catch the killer, but they were ignored at the time. On the morning of December 31st, a man with a deep cut on his right hand was seen at Tobu Nikko Station, about 3 hours away from Setagaya.
I didn't get any
He
kind
asked
of
for
fucking
first
questions.
aid,
What the
saying
fuck
he
is
had
this thing talking
accidentally
about?
cut himself with a knife on the train. But when police checked, there was no blood on the train. A taxi driver also reported picking up 3 men near the Miyazawa house that night. When they got out, he noticed blood on the seat.
I'll be right back.
Another
I'm
woman
gonna go
reported
check
almost
out
hitting a
somewhere.
man running from the Miyazawa home. But police dismissed these sightings, focusing only on the
Insanity.
fingerprint.
Generation from Nintendo. New Super Mario World. Created especially for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a bit more exciting, a bit more challenging, a bit more graphic, a bit more colorful, a bit more realistic, a bit more levels, a bit more secret, a bit more enemies, a bit more friends, a bit more sound, a bit hotter, a bit cooler, a bit weird, a bit more revolutionary, a bit more Mario, a bit more of what you want. It's 16-bit, and it's yours only if you get new Super Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
Genesis does.
16-bit arcade graphics,
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does.
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis.
Does.
Genesis.
Does.
Genesis.
Does.
Genesis.
Does.
Genesis does.
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Collins free.
Genesis does.
What Nintendo? Buy a 16-bit Genesis system between now and October 31st and get an extra game free.
When you decide to step up to this kind of power, this kind of challenge, this kind of flying, crashing, feeling, when you decide to get serious, there's only one place to come, the games of Super Nintendo. No one else creates this kind of experience, because no one else creates these kinds of games. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
Bizarre alien life forms are out to destroy Earth, and you're the Star Warrior who takes them on. Zexus, with adventure, maze, and shooting stages, all in one video game. Zexus, Space Spectacular. Look for it today. By Hudson Soft. For Nintendo.
Young Bobby Engels has a problem. He needs to earn the respect of his peers. So he gets Sega Genesis, the ultimate action system. And then he buys Mortal Kombat, the arcade edition, and the all-new Shinobi 3, and Marvel's X-Men. Now, things are pretty much okay.
I said chocolate chip. Say it. Say it.
Good, don't bend too hard on the legs.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Okay, who knows what a two-point landing is? Ooh, sorry.
Okay, is this bad? I got a tangle.
All right.
You, Joe! What are you? I got an idea. What? Jump. Yes, you can do this. Now jump!
He's training for his biggest adventure yet. Oh, yeah. He's ready.
Come on, bust me!
Yeah.
Joe! I say you
got their insurance for him. Thanks, Rod.
Yeah, thanks, Rod.
PlayStation.
Howdy, Joey. Ah! You'll be right back, too. That's cool.
This wasn't just another fighting game, it was a celebration of the franchise, featuring a massive roster, refined mechanics, and a gameplay that still holds up decades later. In this video, we will delve into the history of the King of Fighters 98, how it was made, what made it special, and why it remains one of the greatest fighting games of all time. Against all odds, the King of Fighters 97 was SNK's biggest release in the popular King of Fighters series. The game director Toyohisa Tanabe was able to successfully take on the helm of the series and delivered an outstanding title and an epic conclusion to the Orochi saga narrative. The game was so big that it had an effect on how fighting game storytelling should be
Let me go back
addressed.
to Whitegate, I guess.
Both the public
Let me go make
reception
sure I
and the
got
sales data
all the
showed
cutscenes I
SNK
needed.
that the King of Fighters was more popular than ever, and that the King of Fighters 97 was a milestone for both the game and the company. As fans expected a new title every year, SNK decided to once again task Toyohisa Tanabe with working on the new sequel. Due to the massive work that went into properly culminating the first major arc of the King of Fighters series, SNK and Tanabe decided that for this new sequel, they would take a break from advancing the narrative and instead make a game that celebrates the previous releases. Thus, the idea of a dream match, the subtitle used for the King of Fighters 98, was born.
Say that shit like you just got your motherfucker. It all began in 94, kept on rolling in 95. This is where it plays in 96, it came to an end in 97, and now it comes, and here we go. KO Editors, here it is. Nothing's gonna stop it, it's 1998.
Not having a canon story allowed the King of Fighters developers team to bring back characters who were canonically dead, like the now very popular Orochi team. This was a way to celebrate the franchise and allow players to enjoy these characters. One of the teams that finally made a comeback was the American Sports team, which only appeared in the first game of the series. Made up of Heavy D, Lucky Glauber, and Brian Battler, these characters had never been updated graphically. SNK decided to go back to the drawing board, redraw these fighters, and give them new moves and specials. Other characters were also updated, like Vice and Mature, who now have more moves than in the previous appearances. Hydran and Takuma also made a comeback with new updated sprites since they were last seen in the King of Fighters 95. Joining them was Kyoku Sanagi's father, Saishu, who was last seen as the mid-boss character for the King of Fighters 95. Speaking of bosses, Rugal Bernstein, the famous boss of the King of Fighters 94 and 95, finally made his proper gameplay introduction as a selectable character in the roster. While Rugal was previously playable in some ports of the King of Fighters 95 as a secret character, this was the first time the King of Fighters boss was meant to be a competitive character with proper balance. When the King of Fighters 97 was released, it offered players for the first time the ability to choose a different version of some characters, like EX Kyo, Orochi Iori, and Orochi Leona. The idea was very popular among fans, so SNK decided to offer more alternate versions of established characters in the King of Fighters 98. These included Terry, Andy, Joe, Mai, and Billy, who now have an EX version reminiscent of their Fatal Fury Real Bout 2 iteration. Ryo, Robert, and Yuri also had an EX version similar to their King of Fighters 95 version. The Orochi versions of Chris, Yashiro, and Shermie were also selectable. With more time to focus on graphical fidelity, now that there was no new narrative for the game, SNK decided to raise the ante when it came to the game stages and music. While stages were not tied to teams as they were between the King of Fighters 94 and 96, the King of Fighters 98 offers some of the series' most beautiful and memorable stages. One iconic stage was the Asaka Station stage, which was a true rendition of the bridge outside the Asaka Station in Osaka, an area close to the SNK office where many of the staff used to walk by. The King of Fighters 98 also happens to be the first game in the series where players could choose the stage in which they would fight in versus mode.
Did I accidentally?
In team and single play modes, the stages were automatically chosen randomly. While in the King of Fighters 97, only a few characters and teams had dedicated music, for the King of Fighters 98, SNK made sure that every team had their own theme, and some characters had their own music that played under certain conditions. The special intros between characters, which were introduced in the King of Fighters 96 and expanded upon in the King of Fighters 97, also saw an upgrade, with many characters now reacting to fighting their rivals. This added more personality to these now iconic characters. In terms of gameplay, SNK decided to keep the now very popular Advanced and Extra mode selection introduced in the previous game and added a little refinement to it. Enter the new Advantage system, a mechanic that rewards players as they lose their team members, giving them a slight advantage to help turn the tables. In Advanced mode, the Advantage system rewards players who lose team members by increasing the maximum number of stocks they can hold. The first team member can store 3 stocks, the second can store 4, and the final fighter can hold up to 5 stocks at a time, offering a strategic advantage when the stakes are highest. The Advantage system also applies to Extra mode users, reducing the time it takes to charge the POW gauge as teammates are lost. This mechanic ensures that as battles progress, players have more opportunities to access their most powerful attacks. The social interaction feature introduced in the King of Fighters 97 also makes a comeback and now has an effect on the Advantage system. In the Order Select screen, players could hold down the start button to see smiley icons depicting character relationships. These icons identified how POW stocks were affected between rounds in Advanced mode, and whether teammates would help by calling off a backup attack in both Advanced and Extra modes. The character relations directly reflect the order of team members designated by the player. A happy smiley face meant the two characters were on friendly terms, awarding 1 power stock when the next character came into play. If undefeated, they would always help in a backup attack. A neutral smiley meant the two characters were indifferent to each other, leaving stocks unchanged. If undefeated, they might or might not help in a backup attack. An angry face meant the two characters despised each other, resulting in 1 stock being deducted when the next character entered. Even if undefeated, they would never assist with a backup attack. Another important goal that Tanabe and his team had was to offer a well-balanced game, free of the issues later found in the previous game. This was a very time-consuming process that paid off, as the King of Fighters 98 was, and still is, considered one of the most balanced King of Fighters games. Interestingly, as the team worked on balancing the game, Tanabe thought it would be fun if Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter series were playable in a King of Fighters game. Unknown to upper management, Tanabe and his team drew the 2 Street Fighter characters and added them in playable form to the then in development King of Fighters 98. this was just a fun experiment and predated any serious talks about SNK and Capcom collaborating for the Capcom vs SNK and SNK vs Capcom titles. It was also recently revealed that the same build included a version of the famous Dragon Ball Z protagonist Son Goku. Unfortunately, the build that included these characters was lost and never found again. The King of Fighters 98 was originally released in the arcades on July 23, 1998. A home version for the Neo Geo AES was then released on September 23rd of the same year, followed by the Neo Geo CD version on December 23rd.
It's here, the revolutionary Neo Geo Pocket Color.
The King of Fighters 98 also received a unique port on SNK's new Neo Geo Portable, the Neo Geo Pocket Color. The color was released only a few months after the monochrome Neo Geo Pocket, which had the King of Fighters R1 or Round 1, a King of Fighters 97 adaptation, as a launch title. With the Neo Geo Pocket Color releasing in March 1999, SNK decided to create a brand new King of Fighters game based on the King of Fighters 98. The King of Fighters R2.
あのキングオブファイターズがネオジオポケットカラーに新登場。格闘モード、育成モードで最強のファイターを作り上げろ。キングオブファイターズラウンド2。No one said.
The game offered 18 playable characters, including the game's boss Rugal Bernstein. Almost all the mechanics from the arcade version of the King of Fighters 98 were ported to the game, like the advanced and extra modes, as well as the characters' moves and specials. The game also offered versus mode via the Neo Geo Pocket Color Link cable, as well as data transfer to the then in development Sega Dreamcast version of the King of Fighters 98, which we will discuss shortly. The King of Fighters R2 also featured an extra mode called Journey. This mode allows the player's favorite characters to be buffed with certain assets. Points earned in this mode could transfer to the Dreamcast port of the King of Fighters 98 to help boost characters and unlock gallery images. Speaking of the Dreamcast port, this port was released in the summer 1999 and is called the King of Fighters Dream Match 1999.
I played this for a while.
ついにドリームキャストに登場。しかも両ポケカラーと接続して新しい遊びが広がります。ドリームキャスト版ザ・キングオブファイターズドリームマッチ1999 Now on sale.
Unlike other console ports of the King of Fighters 98, Dream Match 1999 offered a number of changes and improvements to the game. First, the stages of the game were redone using 3D. The select screen and victory screens were completely redesigned. The music was also remixed and refined. And finally, a beautiful new anime intro was produced for the game. Multiple comical mangas were produced to coincide with the release of the King of Fighters 98, as well as an official light novel by Akihiko Oreshino that delves into the story of Shingo, since the King of Fighters 98 game itself was not canon and had no story. The King of Fighters 98 received rave reviews and was considered the best King of Fighters chapter in the series. In Japan, Game Machine magazine listed the King of Fighters 98 in their September 1st, 1998 issue as being the most successful arcade game of the month. According to Famitsu, the AES version sold over 22,651 copies in its first week on the market. During its release week, the Dreamcast version of the game sold over 58,000 copies in Japan. Worldwide, the game was also praised as an excellent addition to the successful King of Fighters series. IGN rated the Dreamcast version of the game 8.4, praising the gameplay, characters, graphics, music, and background designs. GameSpot called the game the best 2D fighting game of the time. Throughout the years, the King of Fighters 98 saw multiple re-releases, but none were more notable than the King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match.
It all began in 94, kept on rolling in 95, pieces were replaced in 96, it came to the hand in 97, now it comes, and here we go. KOF is here again, nothing comes out since 1998.
Released 10 years after the original King of Fighters 98, Ultimate Match was an updated version of the game that offered a number of additions and enhancements to the roster and game system. The upgrade was first released in Japan as an arcade game for the Taito Type X hardware in March 2008, before receiving a PlayStation 2 version on June 26th of the same year. Released under the new rebranded SNK Playmore, the King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match brought back many characters that did not initially make it to the King of Fighters 98, including many of the bosses such as Genet and Orochi, as well as the famed King of Fighters 96 boss team of Geese, Krauser, and Mr. Big. Additionally, new alternate versions of characters were added, such as EX Blue Mary and EX Yamazaki. Meanwhile, other alternate versions of characters gained brand new portraits, first seen in the console versions of the original King of Fighters 98. In terms of gameplay, the King of Fighters 98 received a number of changes. First, Extra Mode received several significant revisions, bringing it more on par with the widely popular Advanced Mode. Players can now manually activate Max Mode in Extra Mode when the gauge is fully charged, rather than it triggering automatically. The full gauge is stored as a single stock, giving players the flexibility to choose when to unleash its power. Additionally, a new Quick Max Mode was introduced exclusively for Extra Mode, allowing players to activate Max Mode during a connecting hit, excluding grabs or throws.
Sorry I missed you earlier.
This feature cancels the player's attack into Max Mode without the typical power-up pose, enabling smoother combo extensions and offensive opportunities. Other enhancements include faster gauge charging, quicker recovery from the charging animation, and improved side steps with reduced recovery frames. Extra Mode also saw changes to the advantage system for later team members. Instead of adjusting the power bar's length, it now increases the critical HP range threshold, allowing players to use super moves and super special moves without cost when in near half HP. To balance this, the HP bar enters a cooldown period after using a free super move, preventing spam during critical moments. To further compensate for the stationary dodges limitations compared to Advanced Mode's rolling, Extra Mode grants a slight increase in walking speed, giving players a better chance to reposition strategically. Finally, the King of Fighters 98 introduced a brand new gameplay mode called Ultimate Mode. Unlike Advanced and Extra Modes, which come with their own set gameplay features, this new Ultimate Mode allows the players to fully customize their gauge systems and mechanics. Players can choose between advanced or extra styles, deciding their preferred gauge type, dodging method, and quick movement style, offering an unprecedented level of personalization for gameplay. A new version of the game, titled The King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match Final Edition, was released as well, containing various tweaks to the characters and game mechanics. It was initially released for the arcades, with PC versions later being released through Steam on December 16, 2014. Finally, in 2021, this final edition was updated with rollback netcode, allowing fans to play this amazing game online from the comfort of their homes. But whether it's the original version or the Ultimate Edition, The King of Fighters 98 remains one of SNK's most successful releases. Tanabe's meticulous work on the game's balance ensured its strong and long-lasting presence in tournaments throughout the years. Even today, The King of Fighters 98 continues to attract players from around the world to compete in this highly successful game.
As Dako tried to escape, Xiaohai slides in to maintain his status as Neo Geo World Tour.
The King of Fighters 98 is considered the pinnacle of the King of Fighters series. With a large roster, great gameplay and balance, and multiple ports, it truly felt like the end of a chapter for the King of Fighters franchise. But when a chapter ends, a new one shall begin, and the next one would mark a big evolution for the King of Fighters saga. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Big shout out to the channel's Patreons and premium subscribers for helping the channel and making this content possible. You can become a Patreon or a premium subscriber by checking the link below or clicking on the join button below this video. Until next time, thank you guys for watching.
That tough. Usually touch it.
Yo, what's up guys? Today we are watching Illumination's biggest box office hit, Migration.
Guys, we are officially running out of bird movies. Please leave a comment down below with other bird movies. And make sure to hit the like button as well, and we'll watch more bird movies.
And if you want to force us to watch bird movies, well, you can go become a YouTube member or a patron, where every month we have a poll to decide something we react to on this channel.
Subscribe.
It is very funny trying to look up this movie because you get a lot of very topical news articles.
Shut up. This is not your movie. I'm here for birds, not minions. Birds. Wow. No. Okay, is this like that one movie that comes out that's like actually for babies? DreamWorks has a lot of movies that's like targeted towards like 7 through 13, but then every once in a while they'll drop a movie that's like for 4-year-olds. Is this that movie?
Well, they just have to set up your expectations so that all the dark, like twisted can happen later. Like when they start putting the birds in cages, like you'll see, it gets really messed up.
Oh my god, if I was watching the movie in 3D, guys, that scene would have been so awesome.
They died. The end.
Core, you don't get it. The movie, it wasn't the bedtime story.
Sorry, spilling milk. Anyway, Zoe, sorry I couldn't get you in time. You have a good night. Good morning. Good night. I forgot already. My bad. I gotta go. Later. Love you, love you, love you. Peace out. Later. Love you. Bye. Mwah, mwah.